This is Shantal and Boghosian.
And Ulises Guzman.
And we're here to share our weekly podcast with all of you. Join us every week. See you there. Hi, everyone. This is Shantal.
And Ulises Guzman. What?
Can't you just say you never say, my name is Guzman.
Okay.
Retake. Hi, everyone. This is Shantal.
And Ulises.
And we're here today to talk about
the marathon. Dun 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 dun.
So I put in a voting in Instagram, and everyone wanted to hear about the marathon because Ulises just finished running his third marathon last week. That is 26.2 miles. The
Triforce is real on this one. Kids, don't do it. It will hurt your knees. No, but I'm kidding about that. It's a humbling experience. I think if you have the cardio and you do run, you should definitely try it out. It will humble you. Running is one thing, but marathon running, it's a whole totally different beast.
Yes. So everyone wants to know everything about the marathon. Why don't we start with your first ever marathon? When was it? What do you remember? How did you train? How did you feel? Where did you run? Give us all the info.
Well, in 2014, that was my first marathon. And at the time I was living in Palos Verdes.
Where is that?
So that's in the South Bay. It's definitely a lot of terrain out there. It's like next to the cliffs. It's like in between Redondo Beach and San Pedro. But anybody who's been to Palos Verdes, they know how hilly that place is.
For our non-Californian listeners, this is a California podcast. So he's referring to Redondo Beach and San Pedro, California.
Yeah.
Continue.
Google it if you're curious. It's a beautiful place, and that's where I did a lot of the training because it was all hilly. And I was pretty confident. I ran every single day. And, if you're going to train for the marathon, try to do it in the morning. Run in the morning so you're about to get used to it. So, because the marathon starts at 6 a.m. So your body gets used to it and you're able to run early in the morning without a problem. So that's what I did. And it's not just about the marathon. It's about the journey getting there. The training, the exercising, the dieting. The dieting is the most important part. And there's this misconception of carb up before running, and not all carbs are created equally. You just can't eat pasta. You got to eat, sweet potato or squash, stuff like that.
So let's break this down because we could end the podcast right now with that sentence, but the listeners, they want the juicy info. So why don't we start to 2014? 2014? You said? 2014 Ulises. Do you mind sharing how old you were then? Because age makes a difference, right? In the marathon, you can't tell a 20-year-old the same info that you would tell a 60-year-old, right?
True. I agree. I was in my, 27, 26, according to my arithmetic.
So what made you want to do a marathon?
I ran all my life. I love to run.
What did you run away from?
From all the girls out there. Yeah.
True story.
No, but I just love to run. Running is like the most freest thing you could ever do, if that makes sense.
A lot of people love the runner high.
Yeah.
It's a common terminology.
I mean, we can't fly, so the best thing to do is to run, and nothing holds you back. You can do it in your own pace. You discipline yourself, and I think that's the most important part.
Now, did you do the Spartan race before or after the marathon?
Oh, the Spartan race was definitely after the marathon.
So, fun fact. Ulysses and I met on OkCupid, and one of the pictures on there was him jumping over the fires of the Spartan race. And I'll be honest, I saw that picture and I had a few thoughts crossing my mind. One, he was hot, which is why he chose the picture for his online profile.
You're making me blush.
Two, I've dated men who were obsessed with exercise, and they tend to be jerks, right? They're very into their image and they want their partner to be into their image and they don't dig deep. So I was like, oh, should I swipe right? Should I swipe left? Because he's obviously very athletic. I'm okay. I mean, I broke my ankle 10 years ago. Pre-ankle Shantal was very fit and in shape. I was running 7-minute miles. Post-ankle break Shantal, I look like a little bit more happier person, right? I have a belly. I like to eat. And I just keep my exercise minimal. So I took my chances and I swiped right. And luckily, Ulysses isn't one of those people who really pushes for image. And I'm not fat. And I think we got into this. Actually, no, I never shared that podcast. We have a podcast coming about how women have this image that they have to fulfill and men have it too. But anyway, I diverge. This is what our podcast is like. We go on tangents. And so I brought up the Spartan race because Ulysses has competed in several races. And so I'm curious, what did you do before the marathons? Like, what drove you to getting into all this? Something must have happened. Was it a Groupon deal? Was it some advertisement? They're like, you know what? F this. I'm going to go do this marathon.
For me, I think it's not selling myself short. Because sooner or later, everyone's going to be at an old age where they're going to look back and say, wow, I could have done X, Y, and Z, but now it's too late. I'm not able to have that opportunity again. So at my prime age, I didn't want to sell myself short. So I wanted to find out how to get into a marathon. I mean, mind you, none of my family members have ever done any sort of competition. So I really didn't have the resources and the path to get there. So I really had to look into it.
So backstory, Ulysses and I are both first generation Americans. We both come from immigrant families. And that is something that really defines both of us because we've had to pave our own way in today's society, and I'm really proud of both of us, and that's a topic for another time, but I wanted you guys to know why he didn't have the resource, because he's first generation American, and he is paving the way for his family.
Yeah, sure, I totally agree. And mind you, there was kids competing in the marathon too, and I'm sure they were guided by their parents, like, oh, you like to run? Try the marathon. I could register you in, I could show you the ways of preparing yourself, all that stuff. I mean, they had great influence, but for me, I had to do it on my own. And that's part of the journey before the marathon even started. Just the diet, the registering, and the perpetual training.
So, again, you're jumping ahead. You decided you're going to register for the marathon.
Yeah.
Did you choose the LA Marathon?
Yeah, definitely, because it's pretty prestigious. LA is like one of the biggest markets in the nation, along with New York and Boston. So
okay.
I wanted to do the granddaddy.
Is that what it's called, the granddaddy?
No, not at all. But the granddaddy of the West Coast, I want to do the LA Marathon. And,
okay.
Yeah.
So you registered?
Yeah, I registered.
By yourself, or did you run with a partner?
One of my best friends, Wesley, we joined in.
And was he a runner too, or was he not in shape and he prepared for the marathon?
He's a runner. He runs, most definitely. Yeah.
Whose idea was it first?
It was, I think, my idea. And, the more people, the better, because then you're not really alone. I mean, it takes a village to train. I mean, to
That's
train. That's
funny, because after you ran your third marathon, if you remember, right before, no, it was after I said, I'm sorry I didn't run it with you.
Yeah.
But one, I am not built for 26.2 miles. And that requires a lot of training that I just don't have the dedication to right now.
Right.
But one of the real reasons why I wouldn't run with you is because you and I run at different speeds and different efforts.
Mm-hmm.
And you keeping up with me, I know that you're slowing yourself down. And that would actually piss me off while we're running. It's like, don't slow yourself down for me because it puts pressure on me to speed up.
Right.
So I prefer to do these types of competitions solo because I have my own pace.
Yeah.
I don't want to think, is he judging me because I'm running slower? Oh, crap. He's keeping up with me. He's going to get a slower, those kinds of thoughts in my head. So it's interesting that you and your best friend chose to run. And I believe your second marathon was with him too, right?
Yes. Definitely.
Okay. So you guys registered. BFFs. What was the plan after that? How much time did you give yourself from signing up to actually running the marathon?
I believe 3 months. So I think 3 months was plenty.
How much were you running at that time?
I was running like,
before you trained, like regular run.
Probably like, I would say 50 to 60 miles a week.
What?
Yeah, that's pretty impressive because I would just run maybe an hour a day, and sometimes they're fast, sometimes they're slow, but as long as I'm consistent with the running, and then you give yourself a couple of days of rest time because you don't want to wear yourself out or injure yourself. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think like 60 a week.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
At that time, based on pictures I've seen of you on Instagram when I stalked you on our first date, you were pretty thin already.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to drop weight for the marathon.
No, not at all. But I needed to eat well because depending on the fuel you intake, it's how you're going to perform. So I could eat a cheeseburger and fries and Diet Coke, and then it could be the same calories as a whole lot of vegetables or a whole lot of healthy carbs. Mm-hmm. And you'll get different results.
So did you Google?
Yeah, definitely. I Googled extensively on it, and I ate healthy carbs, like just good potatoes and a lot of sautéed veggies and just a lot of water too. Definitely.
And what was your plan the day before your first marathon? Because I know your third, we're going to get to that later, but your first marathon, what did you do the night before?
The night before, just rest, relax.
What time did you go to bed?
I went to bed around 8.
And what time did you wake up?
Well, wake up around 4:30. See, 4:30, the marathon starts at 6, but 4:30, you wake up, you take a shower, a hot shower, your muscles relax, you drink coffee, maybe a protein shake, a banana, something light, and just relax, get yourself wide awake. So when it comes to the go time, then you're able to just run without a problem.
And what was it like that morning? Did you guys Uber? Did you drive yourself? Because I know what a nightmare it was.
Yeah.
This time around, because I took you, but we'll get to that too.
I think one of Wesley's family members took us.
Was it a nightmare like it was this last time?
No, not at all. We just went to the exit to go to Dodger Stadium, and there was a line of cars, but it wasn't a problem. I don't think we relied on the GPS. We just, because we all knew where Dodger Stadium was. So it didn't direct us anywhere to some obscure street that was going to be at the dead end.
All right. So tell us more about the start line, because we're not allowed to go down since there's so many people running the marathon. How many people run the marathon?
Wow.
I think they estimated
tens of thousands of people.
Yeah, I think when I dropped you off, I rolled down the window and I heard the announcer say that they were ready to let out the next 20,000 people.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh. I myself get claustrophobic, I hate crowds like that. What are your thoughts while you're standing there surrounded by thousands of people? Like,
once you're there, it's all good solidarity. Everyone is there for the same purpose, and everyone is relaxed. Everyone's sharing the good vibes. It's a different experience. There was no tension, nothing nerve-wracking about it.
Are you talking about the first time, the second, or the third?
No, the first time.
Okay.
Yeah, the first time. Because the start line is pretty far off, and it's increments of, people, moving towards the start line.
What if you have to pee while you're standing there?
Well, there's a lot of porta potties, so
but no one holds your spot.
No, you just go. I mean, nobody's in a single file line. Everyone is just in groups, and each group takes a forward step to the start line, and then they start.
So would you compare it to Hanoi, Vietnam?
Yeah, but nobody was invading your space.
If any of you have traveled to Hanoi, oh my goodness, I have never ever been in such crowded streets. And I've been to India, and I thought India was wow, but Hanoi was get me out of these crowds. Wow. I mean, we were sardines.
I mean, like in Western countries, a lot of the crowds, they do, respect your personal bubble space, as opposed to Southeast Asia. They're this close to you, and you feel like.
And now we have the coronavirus.
Yeah, you feel,
Dude, you got so lucky. 1 week later, and your marathon would have canceled because of the coronavirus.
Right. I mean, they were thinking about canceling it because there was just a bunch of people there, and
Crazy.
You might be susceptible to getting the COVID-19, but I feel fine and no symptoms of the coronavirus.
You never get symptoms of anything.
No, not at all.
Anyway, so what was it like when you were running with Wesley? Did you guys keep the same pace? Did you ditch him at some point? Did he ditch you at some point? What did you guys talk about this before? Like, hey, we run different paces. It's okay to separate. I'll see you at the finish line. Like, what was it?
Yeah, most definitely. Well, we decided we're going to keep that pace, but if one slows down more than the other, then it's okay to just separate. And that's ultimately what we did. Either he passed me or I passed him, but I didn't see him, and we end up meeting at the finish line a couple of hours later. So,
do you remember your finish time, the first marathon?
I believe it was a better time than the third one. It's 4:15, and my ultimate goal, I'm still pursuing it, is hit the 3-hour mark.
So it was 4 hours and 15 minutes?
Yes.
Okay. So now, when did you run your second marathon? 2014 was your first.
So it was back to back. So I did 2015.
LA again?
Yeah, LA again. And the second time, and here's the thing, you could train, you could do all your homework, but sometimes your body does not cooperate for some odd reason.
But you also know what's coming.
Yeah.
So I think that influences, like, for example, I've done the Inca Trail hike.
Mm-hmm.
And you've asked me, several people have asked me, will you do it again with me? And my honest reaction is, oh, but I know it's coming. It was the hardest 4 days of my life because the second day we hiked from 0 to 14,000 feet elevation.
Yeah.
And when you know the terrain, I think it affects your approach, right? But it also helps you train because you know it's coming.
I would say it's easier not to know because, you're not anticipating it. You see the obstacles and you're just going to go right through it. But I think it's better if you don't anticipate it. Wait, hold on. I think it's better that you do anticipate it because you already know what obstacles are going to be in front of you. Mm-hmm. So I think the muscle memory kicks in and you're mentally ready to go through those obstacles. But if you don't know, sometimes you're like a deer caught in a headlights, like, holy shit, look at this hill. Yeah, I wasn't prepared for this. Or the downhills are the worst when you're running because you try to slow down or else you'll trip forward and then just, eat it big time. So
what happened in the second marathon? You said that your body didn't want to cooperate.
Yeah, I started getting cramps out of nowhere. My shoulders were cramping up and my calves were too, and I was properly hydrated.
Did you eat properly? Because you are a guy, and guys have pride, and you're like, oh, I've done the marathon. I don't need to prep as much.
No, I believe I ate perfectly fine. It's just, my body just didn't want to cooperate. And maybe I drank a glass of wine last night. Maybe that's the reason. But
maybe.
Yeah, it didn't cooperate. And I was pretty frustrated. Like, what the hell? Not now. It's like midway through the marathon.
But you finished.
Yeah, I did. That was, I believe 440 something.
Okay, so you're consistent because in this last third one,
yeah,
which was 5 years later.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll give my perspective here. I've never ran the marathon. I have a couple of friends who have, and I've seen them train. They train pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
I saw Ulises train, and I didn't say anything to him at the time because, you know, he's the pro here. He already ran 2 marathons. I was like, okay, he must know what he's doing. But in my mind, I was like, he's not training enough. He's running 1 hour a day, but not consistently. He's not eating. I mean, he eats well because I cook.
Haha, very funny.
But I also noticed that, you know, this time around you were trying to drop weight, and I got concerned because he was limiting his caloric intake severely. He was consuming 1,000 to 1,200 calories a day to drop weight for the marathon. He lost 23 pounds in a month, and marathon day came, and I was like, holy crap, is this guy gonna make it to the end? Because I'm not so confident in his prepping. But what's your take on your prep?
Yeah, I should have trained harder for this one. I didn't run consistently in terms of training. I did more P90X, boxing, and kickboxing. So the cardio really helped out. And of course, strengthening my muscles because, you know, when you're running, your muscles tend to cramp up. And so, yeah, that was good. But when it comes to running, yeah, I didn't train so much. But like I said before, your muscle memory does kick in, so it doesn't feel like it's your first time in the rodeo. But, you know, I could have gotten a better time if I ran consistently.
Well, you don't know that because you just finished saying 5 minutes ago that you can do all your homework, but the day of the race, you can't predict how your body's going to run. And to make things even more nerve-wracking for me, the spectator, he buys new shoes the night before the marathon. I was like, is this a good idea? You haven't broken them in. You're going to run 26.2 miles on these shoes that you don't know how great they are.
Mind you, these are customized shoes that you don't go to a Nike store or Foot Locker for these shoes. You go to a professional running store that sells shoes that fits your feet.
But still, you know, a gamble. You took a huge gamble there.
And I won.
And then you did prep other ways because of your muscle cramps in Marathon 2. You did actually prepare a better fanny pack for the run.
Yeah, definitely. This is the science behind running marathons for people that are not like Kenyans or Ethiopians out there. I have a fanny pack with a lot of salt tablets. Now, potassium and vitamin C prevents cramping in the muscles. So you take that every 30 minutes, 2 tablets. Once you start feeling a certain fatigue in your muscles, once it starts cramping, don't start taking it because then it's just kind of too late. Yeah. So you want to like forecast knowing, okay, the next mile I might start feeling these cramps. So you start taking it right away. So every 30 minutes, I think I start taking them probably
at the start.
No, the 18th mile. Now, yeah, I did take electrolytes. I drank a lot of water and Pedialyte before the marathon. And of course, I had to pee a lot too before the marathon, just to get my body hydrated and ready. But going to the 18th mile, then I started taking the salt tablets because you don't want to like overdo it because then you might get liver cramps. Same thing with drinking water. Every watering station you bump into in the marathon, in the trail, you don't take every water in the watering station because then, you fill up with water and then you start cramping too. So you have to intake in moderation. So your body needs it, but doesn't need it desperately. So
what? I mean, moderation is relative. I drink like a camel.
Yeah.
I could down 16 ounces of water in one shot, while most people struggle with 4.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
I mean, they give you probably like 30 milliliters of water, like small cups. I think it's 30, maybe 50 ml perhaps.
Okay.
Of like, water. And so, yeah, just take a sip and that's it. For me, I hardly drink water, but I did drink enough that my body doesn't shut down. So it's kind of like running a car. You're on half, but you don't need to go to a gasoline station right now. You could wait till, your meter starts going on E. That's how I was treating my body. It might not be great for some people, might not be the best advice for some people, but it worked out for me.
And what's some etiquette advice you could give the water holers who are stopping for water? Because I know you were complaining that some people were just stopping without looking back, and there's hordes of people behind them.
Yeah, I mean, I was treating my body like a NASCAR race. I just go, get the water, and then run. But I didn't stop. Did
they have trash cans along the way?
Yes, but there wasn't sufficient trash cans. There was a lot of littering on the floor. But, that was planned, and it's nothing taboo about these, when it comes to these races. So, people cleaned up afterwards, after the whole marathon was over. I mean, so there was great organization and cleaning everything up.
Yeah. So you took salt tabs, you had painkillers, right? You packed Tylenol.
I got that codeine, baby. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't.
No, it's ibuprofen. And again, same thing too. I didn't take it before the marathon. I took it, probably 18th mile. Again.
But that's because you're a trainer. I would take all of those at the start.
Yeah. Once I knew that I'm going to get to that pain threshold, then I take it. So I take it beforehand. So, I don't feel any pain at all. But if you take it once you start hurting, then, it hurts. So it's going to take a while.
And you also had energy gels.
Yeah, energy gels, because you're burning so many calories. And I just ate a banana and a whole lot of Pedialyte. That's it. Your body starts shutting down once it's burning like an extensive amount of calories. Your mind could say go, but your body says no. So you don't want your body to be in a state of shock. So you take these gel shots, and they're probably like 100 calories, a lot of caffeine, potassium, vitamin C, the works. So I took that every 40 minutes. Also, when I was like almost halfway there, that's when I was starting to take it. But
to clarify, gel shots, most of you might think they're like Jello shots at the bar. That's not what it is. They come in these little packets. They're small, and it's viscous, sugary paste that you just suck out and you consume to give you energy.
Yeah, that definitely. That was a lifesaver for me. If it wasn't for that, then my mind would have been fatigued, my body would have been fatigued, and eventually I would have to stop. What's great about the LA community, though, they come out of their way and they have sliced oranges or pretzel sticks or Twizzlers. In case you're not prepared with the gel shots, you could consume that. At least give your body some nourishment, because it's taking a beating. The human body is not designed to run that long. It's not. But you know how we are. We like to defy the odds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's great. You could train your body. You could train your stomach. You could train your bladder. But I think the marathon is all mental. So why don't you talk to us about your mental journey? What do you think about on the run? And this time around, you ran by yourself. So you didn't have the distraction of a friend. You stood in line by yourself. So what can you tell us about that aspect of it?
You're totally right, Shantal. 80% mental, 10% skill. You know that one song?
Uh-huh.
Yes. It is mental.
You're missing a 10%.
I know. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. The other 10% is skill and will. There you go. Oh, my math is off this morning. But yeah, it is 80% mental, because, you're thinking about, some people get bored easily. So I put music on, heavy metal. That's my genre of music. So it was motivating me. And I was just distracting myself looking at the city. We went through Chinatown, Tokyo, Little Tokyo, Dodger Stadium, obviously, Echo Park, Silver Lake, Beverly Hills,
Hollywood,
Hollywood Boulevard, Sunset, Brentwood, Santa Monica. So I was like looking around while jogging, and it also I was also just jogging in a really good pace. The last thing you want to do, and I'm sure maybe your runners do this too, they don't look at the mile sign.
Mm-hmm.
So it shows you every mile you're hitting. And you don't want to look at it because even though you feel like you're halfway there, you're not.
Yeah.
And so you're going to be like pissed off about it, or you're mentally fatigued, like, holy shit, I'm not even in that halfway mark. So don't look at the mile signs. Just look, you look on the floor. I mean, don't put your head down. There's a technique of running. You stick your chin up, booty out, lean forward, and start running, but land on the middle of your foot, not heel strikes, middle of the foot, and then just go for 3-4 hours.
But you ran for 4 hours and 45 minutes.
Yes, and nonstop, by the way.
What goes through your mind? I mean,
distracting yourself by just looking at the surroundings all around you.
Not once did you think, oh, why didn't I train better? Or, oh, this marathon just doesn't end.
I was thinking about that just when I thought we were almost there, because we were at Wilshire at one point. I was like, okay, Wilshire, now it's going to be Santa Monica. And from Santa Monica, it's downhill from there. No, we had to hit Brentwood. And I was like, oh, but I just didn't stop. That's the thing. You just got to have that, got to do it, can't stop attitude. You have to run that perpetually in your head while running, because yes, it's okay to complain, but if you keep complaining, your morale drops and you're just not going to do your best. So you have to just be like, I could do it. And to be competitive, set yourself some goals. Like, oh, there's a guy right in front of me. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit faster to pass him. Oh, there's another person in front of me. I'm going to go a little bit faster. So set yourself like these little games while running in the marathon, like people hop, like hop from person to person, passing them by. You pass them by. So I did a little game for myself there. So, and I did it for 4 hours. But then again, I'm a simple guy, so I don't need to be thinking and be, trying to distract myself too much.
Did it pressure you to know that I was tracking your marathon?
Yeah, I mean, you bought me a fanny pack that prevents any sort of phishing when it comes to scams. So, I didn't know you were tracking me because apparently it was shut off because of the pouch. So, but yeah, it's great that you track me in other ways. I think
the marathon sends text messages.
Yeah, which
apparently
is great.
When you cross every 10,000 kilometers.
Yeah.
I don't know why they do kilometers. I mean, it's LA. We all speak miles. But anyway, every 10,000 kilometers, they would send me a text update letting me know that you passed 10,000 kilometers, your average mile pace, and your estimated completion time.
And what was really great about it, it also tracks your pace. And I had a consistent pace of 10 minutes.
10 minutes and 30 seconds.
10 minutes and 30 seconds. and that's the trick. You have to keep a consistent pace. Don't go too fast. Don't go too slow. Keep it consistent. Because a lot of people, they want to gun-ho in the very beginning. And then they gas themselves out. So you don't want to do that to yourself. It's like boxing. That's why the boxing classes really helped me out. You pace yourself. Because you still got a long way to go in the rounds. Yeah. So you pace yourself so you don't go into this dump of losing all this energy. So that's what I did in the race.
But you didn't answer my question.
What?
Did it add pressure knowing that I was tracking you?
No, not at all. Not at all. There's an old saying. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. So even though, hypothetically, if it looked bad in the beginning, if I was stopping, slowing down, it's all about, finishing strong at the end. So, hey, it's not over till the fat lady sings. Mm-hmm. There was a couple of fat ladies, but they weren't singing. So, I was...
Hey, respect to them. Respect.
And that's the thing, too. There was people of all ages, older people, that were really having a good pace. There was bigger people running a pretty decent pace, and kids too, probably like 12, 13, running pretty well. So looks can be deceiving. You can have the right body according to Western standards, but it doesn't mean anything because it all depends how you train. People have different body types, but maybe they trained so much that it worked for them in this race. I was very impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was passing muscular dudes. They're carrying all this muscle, intake of oxygen. It's going to slow them down. And there was some people that were older than me passing me. I guess on paper, they're supposed to be the slow ones, right?
Yeah.
The older you get, the less testosterone you get. And, you just don't have that drive. Not at all.
Let me tell you, there's some abuelitos that are pretty hot. I see them on the hikes, ripped and shaped. It's like, damn.
Yeah. See, looks don't matter. It's how you train. So that was a very humbling experience as well, because it doesn't matter how you look, your body type. It's about just finishing the race. It's all about willpower. So that was great about the marathon.
And so, do you want to talk about the last few miles? Those are the hardest, right? It's kind of like when you're holding a plank at the gym and the last 10 seconds are there and every single second weighs down on you a little bit more. It's like, come on, hit 0.
The last 5 miles were the worst because even though I was taking the salt tablets and the gel shots, I started to feel my calves spazzing out, just tightening up. And I was like, uh-oh. If I jerk it in a different way, it will just cramp up and there's a point of no return. And there was victims out there, people stretching out their calves, stopping, laying down, because once it cramps, it's over. So I try to run in a different way, in a different style, so to add less pressure on my right calf. Yeah, my right calf was giving out. But, I just listen to my music, look forward, not at the mile mark, and just keep on going forward. And I'm a stubborn guy, you know me. I'm stubborn in everything.
That's why,
washing dishes, vacuuming, and this too. I did not want to stop because then in my way of thinking, if you stop, it's over. If I stop, it doesn't count. So I keep on going. Even in a slow pace, I keep on running. So that's what I did. And yeah, it's bad. But when we hit that, we made a left turn and that strip where the Santa Monica Pier was at, then I'm like, okay, I gotta run. Mm-hmm. And I start running as fast as I could, as fast as my legs could carry me, because I knew it was near. On paper, it wasn't near. I saw the sign right in the horizon. Yeah. The finish sign. But I knew if I just give it this one last go, then I could rest easy. And so I did. But yeah, the last 5 miles were the worst.
And what did you feel when you crossed for the 3rd time? Did you think, my 3rd and last? Or did you go, I can't wait for my next one?
I can't wait for my last one. When I passed it.
Next or last?
I mean, sorry. More coffee, please.
Freudian slip. I think he doesn't want to run another one.
I can't wait for my next one. When I hit the finish line, I felt like I was going to throw up, to be honest.
I saw you limping in.
A lot of people were limping, but it mentally challenges you. It's hard to express. Now, you can mentally be challenged by doing an MCAT test or, doing a plank at the gym, but this is a whole different kind of beast. And so, yeah, I was tearing up because I could still do it. Yes, I didn't prepare myself the right way,
you didn't.
But I still did it. And yeah, it was emotional for me. Mm-hmm. And then when I saw you, it became even more emotional because just like with kids, it takes a village to raise a kid. Just like with athletes, it takes a team to raise an athlete, no matter what sport it is. Whether it be running, boxing, basketball, it takes a group of people to get you there. And you were my group. So I do appreciate that.
I made the cutest sign. I'm actually going to put a picture of it on YouTube. So if you're looking on YouTube, look at your screen because I'm going to put a picture right here of Ulises and I holding the sign that I made him. And what people don't discuss about the marathon, sure, the runners have it hard, but then there's us, the spectators, the support group. I woke up the same time he did, and I was in training for the marathon. I'm not a morning person. So getting up at 4 a.m., I was like, dude, you better know how much I love you, because I don't do this unless we're flying somewhere.
Yeah.
So I got up. I made sure he was drinking because he doesn't drink. And I was like, well, make sure you hydrate a lot before you run so that you don't have to, by the time you get there, you can pee at the porta potty and not have to pee. And then the traffic was insane. You know, I was disappointed in LA at how poorly they prepared for this marathon. You know, with Instagram and social media, everything is overpacked now. If it was busy before, now everything is like 10 times worse. Mm-hmm. And so I shouldn't have listened to Google Maps when it took me away from the exit, but we did. And they had closed a bunch of the streets, and they hadn't, I guess Google Maps doesn't update that quickly. So we were going around in circles, and I was stressing because we were going to be late. And we eventually found our way in. And so what you don't know is that you can't park when you're dropping off people. You're just dropping them off, which sucked because I wanted to see you run off. I'm a big supporting person. I wanted to see him run off and videotape him running. So then from there, you're supposed to be able to download an app, where you could track in live time on GPS your runner. But because Ulises put the phone in the fanny pack, I guess it blocked the signal. It's a great fanny pack, by the way. We use it for travel, so no one could get into our passports and things like that. But anyway, luckily, the marathon website has another way to track, which is via phone text. So I signed up for that, and luckily it worked. And so I kept track of where he was. And when he hit the 30,000 kilometer mark, I estimated it would take him an hour and some change to get to the finish line. So that's when I headed out. I got him some Popeye's fried chicken as his congratulatory end of the marathon run. And so I mentally prepped myself for traffic heading to the finish line. Luckily, I'm a native Los Angeleno. I know all the hidden spots, which I will not reveal on this podcast because they are my hidden parking spots, free of charge. They are, it was 1.5 miles away from the finish line. I did feel guilty parking that far. But as you will see, I'll put a clip of the video I filmed that day. And they basically say, well, the dude just ran 26.2 miles. What's 1.5 miles more?
Agreed.
So then another thing they don't tell you, they had this check-in point, right? In order for you to go, they check your bag. And the woman told me my sign was too big. Now, my sign was a regular school poster board that you go to the 99-cent store, you grab it. And I was like, there's no information anywhere that you guys measure the signs and you can't pass through. And so I was like, you know what? I'm not throwing away my board. I worked hard on this board. I know it's going to make him happy when he sees this because it wasn't your lame congratulations board.
It was a success.
So I just pretended I was walking away and I just kept going straight. I was like, I don't care about you. I care about my runner. So I'm going to keep going. So then another thing they don't tell you is that you can't make it to the finish line. They keep us, I think it was 3 street lights past the finish line. So I was like, man, this sucks. So I estimated how long it would take you to get to where I was. And oh my gosh, the stress, right? Ulises, okay. Something you guys need to know about Ulises. He sucks at text messaging. Like, awful text messenger. So I also learned that if I send him multiple texts, he only reads the last one and he doesn't scroll up to read the other ones. And I had texted him, I'm standing at Ocean and Santa Monica. Do not go to 3rd Street. I repeat, stay on Ocean. And I was like, okay, so many things could go wrong. His phone could have died. He could have not read my text because he is in his own bubble and he's on 3rd Street. And so the whole time I'm standing there doing my own marathon, holding the sign for 10, 20 minutes because I'm like, I made myself to the front of the rail and there's people behind me and there was just enough wind where it kept pushing my sign. So I had to put resistance to my arms. I was like, wow, I'm literally doing a workout right now for 20 minutes waiting. So that anticipation was real on my end because there's so many people going past you that I didn't want to miss you. So
right.
I was constantly looking into the crowd, but the stars aligned and I saw you and I screamed out your name. And for one rare chance you actually heard me, because I also have that stupid pitch that is easily muted in crowds. Like if I scream and there's noise, you can't hear me.
Right.
And so he heard me and I saw him and he jogged over to me and it was great seeing you finish. I was so proud of you.
Thank you.
It takes a lot to do one marathon, but to do 3. And the third one, me knowing you didn't prep that well. The whole time I was nervous. And I was like, man, I don't even want to know what I'm going to be like a mom if I'm this nervous about you not prepping for this marathon. But he did it. He did great. We walked around. Santa Monica has this event for finishers.
Yes.
And we went around, grabbed some free samples of CBD, and walked over to our car. And the funny part is that Ulises was great afterwards. Your recovery was impressive. The next day, you woke up at 6 a.m. for work. I was the one that was more miserable. I felt like I ran the marathon.
Yeah, that's one thing that I learned on this third one as opposed to the first one. The first one, I forced everything to finish, right? Without proper form, without, just respecting your body and respecting what your body's trying to tell you. So my first marathon, man, I was like a crippled 80-year-old man for the first week, could hardly move. But with proper form, listening to your body, I wasn't injured at all on the third marathon. So I was good to go. So a lot of my coworkers expected me to call in sick on Monday, but no, I showed up perfectly fine. Sure, I was sore, but I wasn't like crippled.
Wow, let's not forget how my mom spoiled you.
Oh, yeah.
She also made a great meal for everyone. And she gave you a salt bath to soak your feet in.
Oh, yeah. That magnesium does help your muscles relax. So it's great. But yeah, that's the thing about the marathon. You have to train smart because you will injure yourself. You could finish, but the outcome, you won the battle, but did you win the war? Mm-hmm. So you want to respect your body and not injure it, even if you finish. So that's what I did. Yeah, 4:45 wasn't my ideal time, but at the end, I'm ready for the next one because I didn't injure my body.
But you finished in 4 hours and 15 minutes your first marathon, and 6 years later you only slowed down 30 seconds. So is it that bad? No, I think you did pretty great.
Awesome, thanks. And going back to what you said, what kept me going for 4 hours, because you might be bored or you might slow down.
That's me.
Yeah. So also just lead an example too. People that follow you, that know you, they'll see that and be like, holy shit, he did it. Maybe I should do it. Inspired kids, inspired adults. They there's no excuse because I didn't train that hard, and for people that are always putting themselves down like, oh, I'm not ready. I wasn't ready. Even if you train, nobody's truly ready. Like, studying for a test, for example, are you really ready at 100% when you study before a test? No, but you still do the test anyway and see what happens. That's what I do. I don't know until I get there and do it. So.
And you did inspire. I hung out with my nieces while you were running. Mm-hmm. And every time I got a text, they got excited to see where you were, how you were doing.
Nice.
And they were worried too because they heard me say how you didn't prepare.
Yeah.
And at the end, they wanted to come to the finish line with me.
Yeah.
To cheer you on, but in crowds with kids. Yeah.
I think the moral of the story is that nobody is truly ready to
do
the
anything,
task,
really.
but you have to do it. You just do it, and you never know. You might surprise yourself.
So I
how
guess,
capable you are.
So I guess we could shout out some respect to women who give birth because they have no choice.
Yeah, and they're not ready. They can read all the books, but they can doubt themselves. But once it's go time,
your body just has to do what it has to do, similar to a marathon.
Exactly, that's true. But there's a lot of people with excuses. Like I don't run a lot. I can't do it. My body design is not fit for running.
But it isn't though. Not every body is meant for running.
There's some short people
that ran
really fast. It has
nothing to do with that, though. It has to do with genetics. Not everyone has lung capacities to maintain that. And like I grew up, my parents smoked during pregnancy and after, and it affects my lung capacity.
Well, you never know until you get there.
Honestly, after you break an ankle, I'm not willing to do 26.2 miles.
There was an amputee that ran it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'd rather do other things like podcasts and Shakar bakery and motivational speaking and hiking and traveling.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own passion, and it's important to support each other's passions.
Right.
I told Ulises I'm willing to start a 5K. And
that's a start.
I was able to hold 4 miles not too long ago, so I could train back to that.
Right. No, I totally agree. The thing is, you never know until you get there. And once you get there, you're going to do your absolute best. So that's what I tell people. Because I used to be one of those people. That's why I start, doubting. Because I made all the excuses in the book. I don't run a lot.
You just told us you ran 50 to 60 miles a week.
No, this is before the marathon. Before the very first marathon.
I know. You told us earlier in this podcast that you were regularly running 50 miles a week. Well,
I'm my own toughest critic.
Uh-huh.
And so even if I was running 60 a week, I still will put myself down and say, oh, that's not enough. Because I compare myself to elite runners. Like, well, to get to them, how can why would I compete in the marathon?
Yeah.
That kind of mindset will stop you from doing anything.
True. The most I ran, I was running 12 miles a week. Pre-broken ankle.
It's true.
And so, but anyway, would you be willing to give people advice if anyone listening wants to reach out to you?
Yeah. The advice is don't compare yourself with other people. Because you're going to find any excuse why they're better than you. Just do it in your own pace. Sign up. Just do it. You never know what you're capable of. Because at the end of the day, nobody's 100% prepared to do anything. But you have to try. And if you fail, at least you can live saying, I did it and I tried, rather than not doing it at all and regretting it. Well, then no. There's no failure. It's a lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the best lessons in life come from failure.
Yeah.
And, Ulises and I, we work out a lot together. We hike a lot together. And, I'm not as fit as he is for several reasons. The ankle really, it sounds like an excuse, but if you've ever broken your ankle, it's hard to recuperate from that. And I do my own pace, and I tell him all the time. It's like, hey, you do you, I do me. I don't want to feel pressured. I want to go at the pace my body wants.
Yeah.
And we do pretty well together. So he's right. Don't compare yourself to others. Do what your body is telling you to do. Prep it the way it's best for yourself. And just go for it. Everyone has different challenges and different goals and different aspirations in life. So if the marathon is the one for you, just go for it.
You're already a winner just being at the gym, being at the marathon path, being at a boxing gym. You're already a winner.
Yep.
So now it's up to you to take it to the next level.
So with that, we thank you very much for listening to our podcast. Thank you for all your likes and comments on YouTube. I wish I could figure out how to get you guys to interact on our other platforms like Spotify and iTunes and iHeartRadio. And I think we're on Pandora now. So if you guys know, since you listen on that platform, please figure out a way to reach out to us, because I want to know what our followers think outside of YouTube, because on YouTube it's easy, right? You like, you subscribe, you comment. So with that, thanks a lot, and we will look forward to talking to you guys again in our next podcast.
Auf Wiedersehen.